After 5 decades of war and over 2 million deaths, this is South Sudan, the world's newest country.
I feel jubilant that what we have fought for over the years has eventually materialized.
We have the land, we have the resources, we have the people.
The new country that will be born will have people who will be thinking of equality, justice, and good governance.
But despite that outward optimism, it's already clear that things are far from well.
As Southern Sudanese, we didn't expect to turn against each other and kill each other.
Innocent people being killed, being burned, being shot like dogs.
The 50-year struggle for independence has left a people traumatized by conflict, unable to survive by their own means, dependent on food handouts. This is Akobo, near the Ethiopian border, which the United Nations once deemed the hungriest place on earth after a drought in 2009.
There was no single raindrop. There was no single grain harvested. And that has contributed also to loss of many lives.
But today, the population is returning in the tens of thousands, and the fear is that once again, food supplies will dry up.
People have started returning back to Akobo. There are a lot of hopes here in the air for people. The people here are hoping for the best. The next 6 months to 9 months, we're expecting more of 75% of returns to Akobo. That means the population is almost going to double.
It's a problem which much of the new South Sudan is facing. Large numbers of refugees coming home, full of expectation. But they're returning to a country where half the population already relies on foreign aid.
Have outside agencies created a dependency culture here?
Well, there was no option. There was no option for that because people were on the run all the time, and what else could have been done? Or the aid agencies should be focusing now on training people on how to look after themselves, not to be looked after. Because you know the Chinese proverb as well, give man fish and you feed him for the day, and if you teach him how to fish, then you will feed him for the rest of his life.
Development specialist Niel Kowal believes the future for South Sudan lies in its land. A country the size of France, with a population less than 9 million. Its soil is amongst the richest in Africa, ripe for agriculture.
Agriculture sector should be encouraged now because, we have a very wonderful land where even if you can sow a metal nails, it will grow here. If we can get cheaper food, produced here, which will give us money, we'll be able to eat and the cost of food will come down.
But an abundance of fertile land doesn't guarantee food security. Nothing being landed here at docks in the capital, Juba, is from South Sudan. And as presidential advisor Joseph Lagu discovered, the story is the same in the city markets. But it shouldn't have to be this way. This is the state of Western Equatoria in the south of the country. Local people call it the Garden of Eden for its lush vegetation. It should be able to feed all of South Sudan, but the long war with the North made this impossible.
This war, this struggle, has taken over 50-something years for the people of South Sudan to get their freedom. So it was not possible for people in order to do especially agricultural activities properly in order to produce enough food that can supply the whole Sudan.
But although the civil war ended in 2005, the food at this market in the state capital, Yambio, is barely enough to feed the local population. And walking through the market, the reasons begin to become apparent. Security is everywhere. And when the deputy governor of Western Equatoria invites us to view a small piece of land being prepared for producing vegetables, he doesn't travel alone.
Right here, we are not very safe. That's why we come with all these secret forces to be around us. Our problem in the bush is the insecurity, and the main one is the insecurity created by the Lord's Resistance Army, which is a Ugandan rebel, who have moved into the area and devastating and attacking and killing people. They choose isolated villages whereby people are just busy with their own daily activities. They just appear of a sudden and then start butchering these people.
The Lord's Resistance Army, or LRA, is led by this man, Joseph Kony, who declares himself the spokesman of God and is wanted for crimes against humanity. Founded in Uganda over 2 decades ago, they've crossed the borders into various African countries, including South Sudan.
The way they kill people is so bad. They mutilate the body in the sense that it is very impossible for you to touch or even to see. You cannot recognize your person, your relative who has been killed. So these are the activities that they do to the people, and then they burn all the houses.
What's particularly frightening about the LRA is that no one appears to know what they actually want. According to the United Nations, they have no clear ideology or agenda. Stealing, raping, and killing seems to be their only purpose. And the bush is so thick, they could be waiting anywhere.
It is a challenge for us, and we are trying our best as a government to see to it that our people are protected and to be safe wherever they are.
He may sound determined, but these are his frontline soldiers in the battle to combat the heavily armed LRA. They used to be called the Arrow Boys, but now they're known as the Home Guard.
The last attack was this week on Saturday. That was on 28.
Just 3 days ago?
Just 3 days ago. And all of them were armed. They were 7 in number.
Kalashnikovs?
Kalashnikovs, AKM.
Are you really going to ask these men, some of them young, some of them very old, with rudimentary weapons, homemade guns, spears, arrows, are you going to ask them to go into the bush and fight the LRA?
This is what we have been doing within this 4 years now. All of them, even if you just hear now there is a LRA coming this way, you will find all the men, young boys will go there.
But why don't you arm them properly?
Arming them properly will not be possible for us as a new state, and also arming an untrained group of people like that also in the long run will be dangerous, because once the guns are in their hands, and if this fight against LRA is over, how can you get the guns back?
For the foreseeable future, the one state that could feed the nation will be held to ransom by armed marauders from a neighboring country. But whatever difficulties the country faces, there is one word of hope on everyone's lips:
what we have as a common wealth today is oil.
We will control our resources. We have a lot of resources here, even water, even gum arabic, even oil.
Yeah, there is that money which comes from the oil.
But the reality is that oil revenues won't even come close to solving the country's problems. Hundreds of schools and hospitals need to be built and an entirely new infrastructure created.
It will take $10 billion to provide electricity to all the citizens of the country. It will take about $8 to $10 billion to connect all the 10 capitals of our 10 states to Juba by paved road. That is not small change for a country whose current annual budget is $2 billion.
Over 90% of the population live on less than $1 a day. But in the capital, Juba, business is booming. All across the city, major construction projects are in full swing. The other states, some of them actually producing the oil, are angry.
What is here in Juba? All the people of South Sudan are living in states, in the counties. So really, if there is money with the government of South Sudan, this money should come to the states.
Anything that comes always goes, the government of Southern Sudan take a big chunk, and only a very small percent is given to the states.
98% of the country's income comes from oil. But the government feels it's created a fair method of sharing revenues by giving oil-producing states an extra 2%.
The rest is distributed to the wider Southern Sudan. So we have an equitable wealth-sharing formula.
Not even members of his own government agree that the system is helping the majority of the population, most of whom live in desperate conditions outside the capital.
We have to have programs. The political class, the bureaucracy, all of us, the government, we have to come up with priorities that are citizen-focused and policies that are citizen-focused. Without that, that is how we give the impression to rural areas, to small towns, that all the money is being consumed in Juba.
In the border town of Malakal, in Upper Nile State, where there has been virtually no development, Aban Raphael accuses government officials in Juba of keeping the money for themselves.
This money goes to their pockets. They are paying themselves there in Juba. Here it has not reached the state. They say that the state has to get their own money and pay these people. Where is the state going to get money?
All around Juba, affluent suburbs are rising from the dirt. With poverty rife and massive unemployment in a country relying mostly on foreign aid, some are beginning to ask where the money's coming from.
The other day when I was going through some of the neighborhoods, and you hear that that house belongs to so-and-so, and that house belongs to so-and-so, and somebody has 3 or 4 houses, you begin to wonder, how much do they make? This is the sort of thing that gives our people a sense that Juba is stealing from everybody else.
In today's South Sudan, corruption is endemic and goes right to the heart of government, where many believe ministers look after their own families ahead of anyone else.
Nepotism is part of the problem, for sure. Some government officials try to favor their relatives in access to government services and access to contracts.
We're talking millions of dollars here.
Yes.
It's already public knowledge that government officials and private businesses have siphoned off hundreds of millions of dollars in oil revenues. It's even claimed that some senior ministers have avoided prosecution by threatening to produce documents that implicate other ministers in government.
They are in school already or not?
Former child soldier John Makachek is a campaigner on behalf of the homeless.
We are now at the heart of the government of Southern Sudan ministries. To get something quickly, you must really at least have something to give to someone so that you can get the services you want.
It's all about money.
Everything's all about money. People are learning a very bad culture.
Where is the money all going?
money go to individual pockets, and so that's why you see some people are rich, buying big houses, nice houses, big cars.
It's a bad animal. We are trying to fight it hard, and hopefully we will succeed. We have created an anti-corruption commission. We are thinking of giving it also the powers to prosecute.
I have seen some of the people working in the commission of the corruption, and I asked them, what have you done? What about this and that? And then they will say, yeah, we're trying to lessen the corruption. What about this zero tolerance? Why are we lessening it? We should be, stopping it.
But the institutions that are there to fight corruption are not doing their job. But if this person is corrupt, and we know that this person is corrupt, why not get his name into the papers and say this person is corrupt?
Tell that to Niall Ball, editor of The Citizen, South Sudan's first ever newspaper. He has been arrested on numerous occasions for publishing stories about fraud at the top.
I have named two main ministers. The first Minister of Finance, Arthur Okwien. We were actually in a really crisis with him when we investigated the story. He went to Parliament and told the Parliament that he bought one car for 97,000. But when we investigated the story, we discovered that he transferred $60 million to the dealer.
Ball is referring to the purchase of 153 vehicles, mainly top-of-the-range SUVs for ministers and senior civil servants. $60 million was reportedly paid, making an average price of $400,000 each. The minister involved was never prosecuted.
Who decided that these are the kinds of cars we need as a government? Who decided that we have to buy these expensive cars? What happened to regular cars that we used to drive during the war?
For myself, this is the real corruption. Because cars are not immediate things for the country which is young. The development should have been first with few cars, in my opinion. Even here now, some ministers, they have 3, 4 cars. What for?
But for those who raise accusations of corruption publicly, there are consequences.
So when we report this story, he first of all arrested me. 16 armed people were brought here in a very chaotic situation. I could not even understand because I'm a normal person. I can easily be arrested by a woman with a stick, not armed people actually. It doesn't demand that situation.
Another scandal featured in the Citizen newspaper involved a key project to create emergency grain stores around the country in case of famine. In this particular instance, $2 billion has gone missing.
There are people, a lot of people are opposed that we are fighting corruption and we are fighting dictatorship. And most of these people who are in the government are dictators and they are corrupt. And that's why they don't want me. And they don't want the media in general.
He does have one ally in presidential advisor Joseph Lagu, chairman of the board at The Citizen. Lagu's angry at the arrests, worried that the security apparatus in the south has learned lessons from an old enemy.
Possibly they are influenced by the behavior of the security in the north.
Yeah, part of them
they should know that we fought against the north because of that ill behavior of northern security, which they don't have to copy here.
But in today's South Sudan, someone is always interested in what you're doing.
Are you security?
No, that is not your question.
No, it's just that you are. I have permission.
Do
you wish to see my permission?
Okay. In some cases, whenever we assign a reporter to go and investigate, he will go and get harassment and he will get intimidation. Many reporters have been resigning from us because they don't want to discuss certain things.
Are they frightened?
Yeah, they always intimidate them, they threaten them, and And even we have, when this police beat our driver, the witness have been taken out of town by police. Up to now, they have been asked to leave Juba so that if there is a court case, they will not be a witness.
With all the wealth concentrated in Juba, hundreds are arriving here every week to escape the poverty of the countryside, only to end up in slums across the city. Juba's population has more than tripled from 160,000 in 2005 to over 500,000 today. John Makachek has been fighting government attempts to push the slum dwellers out of the city.
So the place is not yours now, you are just here temporarily?
Temporary, yeah.
So any time, any day, any minute, you will be asked to leave?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
John then led us to Juba's main graveyard, the only spot the latest arrivals could find to build their shacks.
A human being cannot live here. The smell of people who die here. And even the people are not really buried properly here. So you can smell them, it's bad. But they live here now. So I don't know where they should go. They tell them just go. They have no choice but to live here, because that's the only place they can find and live.
Slums and local markets are being cleared to make way for big business to take advantage of opportunities arising in the world's newest country.
I don't think they are Sudanese companies. They are all foreign companies. And so they're coming with money, and the money asking people to live. It just happened like what happened in Unity States. Most of oil companies now have evacuated people to live, and so citizens are really suffering.
It's not just Juba and Unity State. In a land grab which could turn into the biggest scandal yet, foreign companies have already taken over an area larger than the entire country of Rwanda. In some cases, the land will be used for forestry and biofuels. In others, no one seems to know.
I would be surprised if corruption wasn't a factor of many of these deals. Many of the investments were done without consultation. You have an investment project not far from here in Juba, which is 10,000 square kilometers, for $25,000 in fees plus a portion of the profits from the investment. Tremendously important land, which has been leased away for a very insignificant sum.
This is the very land that those in government once fought for, that their people suffered for, and that is now being sold or leased for little in return. The transformation from a liberation movement to a political party has been a difficult one. In the past, they fought a common enemy in the north, but now the future holds great uncertainty.
We are going to have difficulties because what united us in the past was our frustration from the north. But now the north has gone. What will bring us together? There's nothing.
The new constitution of South Sudan gives wide-ranging powers to President Salva Kiir, including the right to sack all 10 elected state governors and to appoint his own members of parliament. It's hardly surprising that many fear we are witnessing the beginning of a one-party state.
This constitution was done by SPLM alone. That is why these opposition parties pull away from it.
I thought you were SPLM.
Yes, I am.
But now you're worried?
Yes, I'm worried.
Aban Raphael's concerns reflect many voices across the country. And with intertribal violence and corruption spiraling, rather than Khartoum, their greatest enemy may now be themselves.
I think some of our brothers forget the reason why we fought for this many years.
They have not lived up to the people's expectations. These are revolutionaries. These are people who fought and spent a decade in the bush, going on nothing, not being paid, volunteering, being injured. We would have expected them to carry on with that kind of sacrifices, at least until we develop this country into a comfortable place that we can all live in.